Blau und Weiß sein Leben lang. Hallo, meine Leute. Welcome to episode 143, SchalkeMerica. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me, as always, co-host Jack Mangan. Jack, how we doing on this Monday?
Back by popular demand.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing all right. Um, Game was an interesting one.
Yes.
Not my favorite to watch. 90 minutes of what I felt was somewhat frustrating performance from us, but I think at the same time to not be entirely like dour on that. Some positives to take away from that performance, especially relative to how we looked against Hamburg to start off the season. Um, so that's certainly one of the talking points. Then also, of course, an ESPN game, one of the few this season, which was another nice thing. Didn't have to scramble to try to find a
The
way
game that nearly didn't
to
happen for
watch.
us.
Yeah, with some technical difficulties in the field, in
Of
the feed.
course.
I should add. Yeah, of course, it went black on us like 30 seconds after the game started for a few minutes, but ultimately back up and running.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Need some bot control, obviously, for real. But other than that, no, it was good. It was good. It had a lot of interaction, a lot of people watching along with us, which is nice because the game was televised here in the U.S. and so have so many people watching the game and joining us as well. It was fun for sure. The result not so much, but like you mentioned, yes, there were some dour moments, but there was some positivity. Meaning, we did look better the second time around against Hamburg than the first time. So. Yeah, 1-1. Not the result we were looking for. We'll get into the lineups real quick just to kind of get that away. We're not going to really go through much of the highlights, but for the home team, which is Hamburg, Johansson in goal, who had a pretty decent game. Haier, Vuskovic, Schönlau, and Guillamaro in the back. Reese, Meffert, and Kittel. Kittel in particular was pretty good in this game. And then up top, you had Jata, Glatzel, and Ali Du. All three were actually pretty decent in this game for me. Thoughts on the Hamburg lineup?
Yeah, Kittle. We had some like mistaken identity with him at some points in the game yesterday as well. Yeah, but yeah, Kittle involved from the very beginning, which we'll talk about shortly.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the more interesting conversation, I mean, obviously because I'm biased towards Schalke, of course, was just the fact that we saw that same striker pairing up top that we did previously, ran that out again, and then once again, Adrizi getting some minutes there centrally.
Yeah, we went with the exact same lineup that we went last week that worked so well. Obviously, Frazel in goal, same back three, Kaminsky, Itakura, and Tiao. You had the same midfield of Paulson, Salazar, and Idrizi with Ranfel on the right, Owayan on the left, and of course Chirlinov and Peringer up top. And yeah, I was curious to see if they were going to be able to recreate the magic that they had in that game. But as despite seeing some of the players that we were glad to see back, Idrizi, one of them, Chirlinov as well, it got off on a very sour foot and sour for us in multiple ways, right? Not only did they score, but ESPN's feed wasn't working at the time, so we were scrambling trying to find feed. And so by the time we got it back on, the goal already happened, and it was a corner kick, which really is funny because Hamburg were trying to speed up the corner kick and take it quickly. And the referees brought it back. Said, no, you got to wait till people got to set up. And so they had to bring it back because initial corner kick was unsuccessful and they got cleared away. And so they made him redo it. And they took it. Kittle took it in, kicked it in, I should say. Glatzel, one of their strikers, one of the guys you think you'd be marking, was completely unmarked. Peringer was nowhere to be seen. And Glatzel got a free header, put it past a horizontal Frazel. And when 1-0 lead, 1 minute into the game. I mean, that's not the way you want to start a game, Jack. Not at all.
Certainly not. And yeah, as you mentioned, it happened before we could even really get the feed working from ESPN. So somebody had commented in the chat that we had conceded before we had seen it. And actually I hadn't seen what you had just mentioned, that they actually called it back and made them take it again. And so in my opinion, that actually kind of makes the concession even worse.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even that, they had run, take a quick corner and we hadn't got time to set. Clearly we had been given time to get set there. And, a minute and a half into the game, I don't know what we're doing, but you're leaving once again. Yeah, a striker entirely unmarked by about 5 yards. I mean, there's nowhere anywhere near him. And I mean, even in that ball is in flight, no one's really coming out to challenge him significantly. So he gets kind of a free header on it or whatever, and places it well, and takes advantage of it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's for some reason just the shape that we decided to take, and that was part of it. And he was so far deep in the box that we didn't feel like we needed to kind of monitor him or whatever. But Yeah, one 1-0 to Hamburg, and I guess I'm actually kind of glad with how this game went beyond this, just because when you see something like that happen, we've talked all season. This is very narrative-y, but like how we've really struggled against the better teams in the division to look like we've belonged in matches. And so when you see us concede that early, it just kind of goes like, "Oh, here we go." Like,
Yeah.
gonna be another tough day at the office. But luckily, it ended up turning around a little bit.
Yeah, it did. I would say the play certainly turned around compared to the first game. We would get a goal. It would happen late in the game, 87th minute, off a nice play. Bolter really trying to keep the play alive and crosses it in. Itakura, nice deflection into the goal. Some questions if it was with offsides or not. It kind of looked like he was offsides, but hey, we'll take it. They didn't call it. We got to call our way on VAR and 1-1. And I don't even think that was the story point of the game. Yeah, it's great that we tied the game, but we felt we lost some points, don't we, Jack? Because you look at the statistics, right? 28-8, I think, were the shots overall. Let me go here. Let me pull up the official statistics. 28-8 in our favor. Shots on target, though, 5-3. So of 23 shots, missing targets. I mean, the theme of the match was high and wide, right? It seemed like people were taking practice or auditions for NFL kicker or something. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the whole Salazar approach has seemingly infected the rest of the squad. It's become. I mean, there's Omicron and there's also Salazar apparently because,
Yeah.
I mean, he has the tendency, and we've talked about this a lot this season. He has the tendency at times to get the blinders on when he picks up the ball, sort of somewhere in front of the 18-yard box, and he tends to just kind of stop looking for options and is set on getting a shot off. There's good things about that and bad things about that. But when that becomes sort of the default approach of basically all of your attacking players, that becomes a problem. And we saw that in this game. And we had enough control of the match, I thought, to play with a little bit more patience and try to, play that extra pass and create higher percentage opportunities. And repeatedly, we were just kind of lazy, and it was consistently somebody just kind of being like, screw it, I'm just going to have it go. And, ruining a move or, ending a possession prematurely and really just settling and kind of letting Hamburg off the hook. I feel like when you have the kind of control over the match that we had, which has been rare somewhat this season, you need to take advantage of it by really making them work. And I feel like, like as you just said, we had all those shots and there's only, a very small percentage of them were on target. So the actual work that they really had to do in this match, I don't think is going to line up with what a lot of the stats would suggest. Probably one of those games you have to watch more than just kind of looking at, the box score or whatever. So yeah, I was pretty frustrated in this one consistently. I don't know why that wasn't being addressed because it was happening in the first half too. I would have to think that like somebody would say something, but pretty obnoxious after a while. How did you feel about it? Do you feel like I'm exaggerating that?
No,
I feel like it was pretty pervasive throughout the whole 90.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I want to share this. It was interesting because I thought I was so confused on this, and then I see this tweet from Sasha, the tweet, a good friend of the show, and he's saying, according to Build, both Schroeder and Knabel went over to Grammozis and said, "Hey, look, we expect you to play better offensively, be more attacking, better style of football than what we've seen." And so maybe this is part of what that is, where the team really trying to assert themselves and try to dominate a game. And this is like the opposite of what we normally see. Normally we're like too patient and we're not taking enough chances until it's too late in the game or we need a goal or something like that, or it's too close. And in this one, we're just like constantly rushing down the pitch and just taking shots left and right. And yeah, no, it was frustrating because one, it was nice that we were getting those opportunities, that we were creating more chances than we had previously this season, but nothing was on target. They were rushing it, and we were doing nothing with what we had with the ball, right? I mean, corners were 13-6, and we did nothing with those corners, really. And so we're wasting opportunities that we didn't have all season. Now we get them against a top team, so to speak, and we weren't doing anything with it, and it looked like we could very well lose that game 1-0, and it took another late Itakura goal to kind of salvage the points.
Yeah, I mean, you feel as though the rarer your opportunities are in a given match, the more likely you are to kind of be a little bit hyper on those and rush things because you're concerned about, this might be our only chance, that kind of a thing. And so it's weird that it kind of had the opposite effect when we had as many chances as we did, and we seem to be more wasteful with them than we typically are when we really struggle to get into those areas with any kind of frequency. So that's what was so frustrating to me is we've sat through so many matches where we've at times either struggled to string a couple passes together after we win a ball back and we're kind of constantly trapped in our own half, or we have possession sort of like centrally in the pitch and we're not really able to advance anymore. We're just kind of cul-de-sacs constantly. And here's a match where, like I said, once again, we had pretty good control of this game. We got into the final third somewhat regularly, and we were just uncharacteristically wasteful. And that's disappointing because this could have been, a big result for us. And we continuously talk as well about, the kind of the promotion 6-pointers and everything. Hamburg's in the conversation, and they're a team that you would have benefited even more from if you had, picked up all three. One of those direct results. So poor for me. But Itakura, 2 games in a row. Hey, your center back doing big things. Nice finish as well. And, Bolter back with the cameo right from the bench. He was injured for a bit. Nice to see him back, and he comes up with a big play. So,
and you mentioned cameo. We had a cameo for our new striker, Salif Sane. We saw a little bit of this in his prior appearance, I would say. And this one again, he was inserted immediately into the striker role. He wasn't actually bad. He contributed to that goal that Itakura scored. I mean, he was doing a good hold-up play. I liked him in that position. Not that I want to keep him in that position forever, but late in the game when you don't have Tarota, Bulter's tired, Peringer came out already. Why not? And it seemed to work.
It did. We mentioned it earlier in the live stream when we were watching along. We're like, I wonder if we see Sane as this gets closer to the end.
Sure enough.
There's been precedent for this, not just this season already in the limited appearances of Sane, but like in previous seasons where, once it starts getting deep into, the 80th, whatever, you throw him forward and you start playing a little bit more direct and long ball emphasis. And he can win those. He's fantastic in the air. He has good hold up play and everything, because obviously he uses his body well. So I thought he made an impact. I thought it was actually a decent sub, and there was a period there where it was looking like we might be able to, snatch a winner potentially. So but more than anything, more importantly, just good to see him healthy. Yes. The last time he came in, he was immediately like re-injured or whatever. So we just saw that mini cameo, and then he was like, back out for several weeks or a month. So this is like maybe the second appearance this season for him. It's something they haven't been,
maybe 3 if you're at most.
Yeah. So I think, more than anything, I'm just happy to see him back, and hopefully he can stay healthy, because I think he can definitely be a contributor second half of the season. I think there's an argument to be made that he might end up becoming a starting center back potentially. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, obviously the 3 guys back there have played well enough and are as versatile that it's hard to take one of them out. But in some way, Sane will absolutely play a role for us as a midfield sub late in games. I don't mean as a center back sub, whatever, rotation, doesn't matter what it is. I think he has a role to play, and so I'm glad he's healthy.
He was a 6 before. I'm just saying, it's throwing it out there. Looking at the lineup and some of the players, compared to this game compared to last game, I thought the back 3 were decent. Obviously, Itakura got another goal. Fraza played better than last game, which is good. Johansson, his counterpart on the other end for Hamburg, he had a few big saves on us, though. The few opportunities we did get on target. Paulson was okay. Ronful was maybe a slight step back. He was okay. I think Iden came on for the last 30 minutes. We talked about this on the watch along. Iden put in a good 30 minutes. That's what we thought. It was a much better improvement, much better product by him in this game than it was previously. Would you not agree?
It's the constant seesawing of stock between Ranful and Iden. I mean, Ranful couple good performances, and then he doesn't really do much. I don't think he was bad in this game, but didn't really do much of note, I felt. And Iden came in and I thought was very impactful in his cameo, much more than Ranful had been throughout his 60-something minutes or however long he was in there. So definitely a good performance from Iden, which is nice to kind of end the year on that note for him. His highs in the first half of the season were quite high. And he had some bad performances as well. So maybe that stabilizes somewhere out and we get some consistency. But obviously we like what we see out of him. I thought it was interesting, Johansson, you mentioned the goalkeeper for Hamburg. I mean, there was that one moment when Sherlinov missed a chance he has to convert. And that seemed like Johansson and Hamburg trying to do their best phrasal impression from the previous game.
Yes.
When he made that strange decision that almost cost us. So that was not a great moment from Sherlinov. I mean, you know the chance I'm talking about. Definitely should have either finished that or utilized one of his teammates.
And the worst part about it was not only is he one-on-one with the goalkeeper, has a whole net to shoot at, he also has Peringer, who's wide open too, so he could have faked out the goal completely and gave it to him, or gone the other way. It was a 3-on-0 basically. Missed chances.
And
Missed
that's
chances.
3 points right there, you know?
It is.
So it's
And I
tough.
thought Cherlidov had an okay game. It was a step back from the last game, obviously. Peringer as well, Salazar and Idrizi. But I think the big one for us, unfortunately, one of our boys, Oyan, had a particularly poor game. Not quite poor, but it wasn't good. His passes weren't hitting anything. He kept passing it really to the other team or to nobody. He seemed to struggle in this game. Maybe he's just tired, you know. I'm not going to second guess him. I know Schroeder wants to bring in another left back for supplement because he's been running his ass off. It's kind of like we had Ochipka a few years back where he's running his ass off. He's the only option. It's kind of how we have the Oyan right now. And so I know we need to have a backup for him. But in this game in particular, I thought Oyan struggled. It seemed like he had lots of minutes already this year and it just ready to see out the winter pause.
Yeah, I don't think he played a like a poor game in terms of being a liability for us.
No.
For the most part. But yeah, certainly when you talk about the delivery, especially from set pieces that we've come to expect from him, this was a notable downgrade in his performance. Rarely played a good cross or a good corner in. And yeah, it was just kind of off for some reason, not calibrated in this game. But you know what? I mean, I couldn't be less concerned about it. Like, I mean, he's been our most consistent player, I would argue, the entire first half of the season, and consistent player and our best, in my opinion. So, like, he gets a game or two like this without me even batting an eye, basically, based on how good he's been. So, I'm sure we'll see better from him in after the break.
And another positive signs, I think all three subs were good. We talked about Sane, we talked about Bulter, set up the goal. And obviously Aiden we talked about as well. All three of them I thought were decent coming off the bench, or more than decent, I should say. 1-1. We end up finishing up until the goal, we were looking like we were going to be in 6th or 7th place, but that goal by Itakura salvaged the points, salvaged Grammozis' job, at least for now, as far as we know. We finished the open first half of the season in 4th place, tied with Hamburg, who's in 3rd. Nuremberg and Heidenheim were below us. 6 points off of 1st. We're a good bit away from relegation, at least. But the promotion is the big thing, and top 2 automatically advanced. The 3rd place gets into playoff battle, and we don't want to be in that position. We don't want to be in that kind of situation against a Bundesliga club. So top 2, honestly, top spot as the goal. And at the moment, it's going to be many questions are going to be asked this offseason, this winter break, about Grammozis, right? We know that Broven Schroeder and Kanabel have already spoken to Grammozis saying, look, we're gonna stay with you, but you need to improve. We need to do better. Obviously, the attacking has been lacking. The intent we saw a little bit better in this game, but not so much, right? Shots not on target.
The attacking has been lacking. The intent absent.
Oh, I like it.
Bars. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Man with words. So it's going to be interesting to see here how this all shakes out, I think. But 4th position. We'll get into the review here during the break. Our next game isn't until January 16th. But I think, it's overall first half of the season. 4th place is okay. I think ideally would like to be top 2, even top 3, and we're kind of tied. But what are your thoughts on being 4th position going into the break?
Now that we're sitting here, halfway through the season and we're looking at the table and we have a kind of concrete picture of how it looks, I'm conflicted because I'm concerned that I'm in some way being like far too harsh on Grammozis and maybe not giving us enough credit for kind of where we are and the chance we have to get promotion right back. Because we are essentially tied on points for the final promotion place.
Yeah.
So things could be a whole lot worse. But at the same time, it's like there's 4 teams that are level on that point total. And there's an additional 3 teams that are within 1 result of the point total that we have now. So, we really need to find a way to separate ourselves from the pack because, over the stretch of a 2-week period, we could be back down in 8th place again. Something like that real quick. So this is, it's come right in terms of where it looks like we appear in the table kind of right at the correct moment where there's this cutoff and we have time to sit and reflect on it. But it is a tenuous 4th place. To be certain. And to be fair, it's tenuous for the other teams that are you have that point total as well. Not just us, but the balance of what we've seen the first half of the season, I'm not convinced still that it's good enough. It might be, but I'm not confident in that. And I think that has, once again, much more to do with the coaching than it does with the personnel. It could very well be the case that I'm, not appraising our personnel properly. But when I look at the job that Roden Schroeder's done, and I actually look at the guys on the pitch, I think we have the people to get promoted at this point. I believe in our squad, and I think what is lacking is somebody that can help guide them and put the structure in place and give them the ideas necessary to go on and take it. What are your thoughts? Agree, disagree?
I agree 100%. I think that, first of all, Schroeder's going to be given, the keys to the city for what he's done compared to how we've been going into this season with the lack, the players not performing, and then basically upheaving the whole team, basically creating a new team with no money. And this team is very competitive. Automatically, we're in the top. Within we're basically a point away or whatever or 6 points away from top spot. We're doing pretty well, and I agree with you. I think this team is more than capable of being promoted. But the question mark is, tactically, are we good enough? And we don't know that, right? We've lost a lot of games because of simple mistakes. Not enough of this, not enough of that. Overlooking things, not being aggressive enough, being too aggressive. It's we've not hit the mark tactically, and I think that has to improve. And I think at this point, if you're not making a move now, you need to give a short leash. I mean, I'm talking about maybe till end of January, because you're looking at the schedule coming out of the break, right? Holstein Kiel on January 16th, Au on the 22nd, Regensburg again, who demolished us the first game on the 5th of February. So you got 2 games. I think by Valentine's Day, which Dusseldorf is that 4th game, if we're not in a promotion spot, it may be too late to pull the trigger at that point. I don't know. It's Roven Schroeder and Knabel. They're gonna have to really look hard this winter pause and try to make a decision in the next 2 weeks or so, because any later, you're not going to give the new coach, if you want to bring one in, time to get his tactics ready. And again, if you don't want to make a move, get Grammozis some backup. Maybe no more striker help, right? Maybe we got Salif Sane, but he's not going to be the all-tell answer. And then help for Oweyan and some other moves, some depth, because we clearly need some depth, because when players go down injured, we were struggling there for a couple weeks. The guys came up big, but yeah, I don't know. And I'm with you. I think I'm confident on the team, but not so much on the manager, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Regensburg in that first run of 4 fixtures after this break, but it is Regensburg at the same time that's lost 4 of their last 5 and are very much in the midst of sort of the decline that you predicted, preseason, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you're looking at Au in 17th, Dusseldorf in 13th, Kiel in 12th.
It should be 12 points.
I mean, so it's just, I mean, those are 4 games that you would expect a significant point haul from. And if he doesn't get it, then, it just looks increasingly unlikely that we're going to, lock it up. It's unfortunate, because the ideal time to change coaches would be now, so that you have time to come in and work with the players a little bit during the break. You don't want to get 3 games into January and then just have kind of like the pace of the season happening again and make that change midstream. But anyway, like I said, it's possible we're being too harsh. We may end up getting this comfortably, continue to improve in the second half of the season. And, we'll look around at the end and be like, what were we so concerned about? But it's just that, I don't feel there's been enough growth or evolution in the squad, in the performances over the course of the first half of the season. And I think we have the personnel to be playing a little bit better than we are. So, it does appear as though Grammozis is going to be the guy for the time being. And we wish him well, because we want us to be successful. So we will see. The good thing is that St. Pauli at least ended on a loss, right?
Yeah.
Because they could, if they picked up like another win, they could be almost 40 points now. Yeah, so close to 10 points ahead. So luckily, they're still just the 2 results in terms of the gap to the top of the table. But I mean, we'll see how things go. It's looking like our fight is probably not going to be with St. Pauli. It's going to be with
everyone else.
Hamburg, Darmstadt. Anyway,
I mean, we are more than capable of getting 12 points out of the next 4 games, and if we do, we could possibly be in first or second place. Well, definitely second place, but probably first place. Depending on how Bergstaller and company do. But I think of those 4 games, we're not at a point yet of must-win games, but I think you have to get 10 points at least of those games because you just mentioned what place they are on the table, and the only team that's in the top 10 is Regensburg, and they're 8th. We should be able to get at least 3 wins in a draw. And if we don't, like I said, that Valentine's Day deadline, if you're not going to pull the trigger now, that's going to be the last chance you get to pull the trigger, because anything later than that, it's just going to be a shoot for the skies, and it's not always great when you try to do a change late in the season, right? We've seen it before with our old manager coming back, Hoop Stevens, and saved us from relegation a few years back, but it never works out when we make a coaching change so late into the season. So February 14th really is the cutoff for me. It's a make or break for Schroeder and company. So, but best of luck, like you said. We need to get promoted.
Yeah, and maybe we'll find a few extra dollars in the couch cushion somewhere to bring in like one more player, one other person to kind of bolster the attack potentially, or whatever. So, just hope we don't have too many more matches officiated by Dennis Eitikin, who saw fit to issue 7 yellow cards in that game because he just has to be involved. Anyway,
it's all about him. I'd rather come to the end of the season when we're talking about, is Grammozis the guy we want to have in the Bundesliga or not? I'd rather have that conversation than another conversation, So
absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, let's keep this one short because we are going to have a review podcast during the break here between this game, last game, and the next game. Whether next week, or we'll let you know when it is. We'll have hopefully some guests on here, review the first half of the season more in depth, and go from there. But anything else, Jack, before we wrap this one up?
It's all from me. Cool.
Well, for those who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. If we don't talk to you, we may not. Who knows? But enjoy your time off. If you get time off, enjoy the holidays, and we'll catch you soon. Glück auf.
Stay safe out there.